Member transfers in Imuna. Let's also divert kakrani and clubs no. And Pempi, some of the third jerseys eba. Third jerseys no. A chamfoni actually be a club ni free. Now normally, when we introduce jerseys now, they want to educate us on a lot of things. But I am Pempi, yeah, I drink one a business why you nim. Now, and I mean that's almost Arsenal for release or would take jersey Ediaba. Now, they be a catch or say, club will be a winninchi any baby or free. The last time I was telling you, so Manchester United, a Lancaster and Yorkshire for or more railway department and a nipano and I didn't say Yankwati Boku and HDB Manchester United. The same way I was telling you the last time say Manchester City. Now sorry Saint Mark Church Saint Mark Church say Yantia sorry now fe Nippon will be a one Manchester or Moody 77 no Yan for football and Chomomba sorry mono and then Adania Babe Manchester City. I to say Tottenham Hotspur Nankwada school children be no more St. John's Grammar School and in name what say Tottenham Hotspur Arsenal Football Club. Give me the jersey and let me tell you something again. Kent, take me back to bare 139 years ago. Ken, yanko na fe mamno nkobonko mo kakra na afi yantwe nyina adwen ikosi ade so kakra. This is 139 years ago. 1886. Osha screens no so a nipa na omonwan machines ahodo. Samra no na akoako ewo wiase Arsenal. Denti Arsenal ba ye nani jersey me be kire ade kakra wo. England anasa UK kro no wonyina no baby a omo kwa ako a omo ye omo tuo eye omo machines awodo e de kwa ako no eho no eye baby a na Arsenal asifri na eho ye Royal Arsenal eho nie na me de aba ewo wo hwe wo screens no. So this is 1886 ewiase atwam ko inti nipa no a eye sa etuo machines ye niama UK for the kwa ako no eye sa nkofo na department ba ko ye fe na Dial Square Workshop and na boys ni bi se nie sa dia ye bob ye adwuma ni wi a ye tete wa ye nya hwe. Let's form a football club and no Royal. In fact, initially na department na to so Dial Square Workshop Football Club and then in name na ebe Royal Arsenal say sa company na nkasa no eho and the UK kwa omkoji etuo ni ade. Again, this is why Arsenal are called the Gunners. I'll come back to these things because eho and the UK nyina omkoji omotuo. The last time I was telling you say omko ko no wia nipa no soldiers fo no omko na omkodi akon no sanso ba omoye nkokora na ye de omko baby at Chelsea went na Chelsea from pensioners no inti was Arsenal fo no eye etuo ni Chelsea fo no soldiers fo no kwa akon ba no makoho ntina Chelsea for former pensioners e were links kakra but the Arsenal one no for company name for picture of the company mam na for yen hwade department no mo ti Arsenal Lancaster free near for the Dial Square department today and ne kra na one picture ni we 1886 na fa and de mame into one thing clearly you will see from the picture clock no na and Arsenal for unveiling of the jersey no fanoma meso na menchero ade again omo unveil using the clock into when we say clock that we feel say normal picture it is not. Arsenal are going back and telling you say now we are taking this jersey back to where we belong to. Two the hybrid conversation Ken the last time I make catch you say Arsenal Lancaster so move in North London no baby Arsenal fi Woolwich I was South London na emrebi ka Arsenal ye gunu na papa e fan Sir Henry Norris abeji boboko Sir Henry Norris on na Fulham ye ne dia. Remember I will have time to explain this. Papa no escapa on na Fulham ye ne dia. If you do remember my bear history be a catch say Chelsea so in komo dey ko bof Fulham mu since that time na Fulham ye strong inti papa ne be so Arsenal mu no against all combining Arsenal and Fulham and the clubs ni kwati si mu unim clubs om ka so mo mpene Chelsea Tottenham. And na papa say okay omonti ase dia wakonya asase e wo North London to oyi club ni dey fit South London e dey akọ North baby at Chelsea and the Tottenham where also so Chelsea Tottenham wrote selected to the Football Association say yenti ase na enti ase china because to Arsenal and free North London and na papa say oh scandidi mu they took Arsenal there Inti Arsenal ankasa ni chief in North London, ni chi Woolwich, South London. But in your dim papa ni sika o e no de ni nemu abebie. Inti ehon okoto hybrid. And no mama, Sir Archibald. And again, I'll have time to explain this. Ken Archibald, no papa or that television is the Ken Sheniepa. Onu ne see Stamford Bridge. Papa yi. Onu ne see Old Trafford. Onu ne see Goodison Park. Onu ne see Anfield Stadium sanke see ni nyina we England ni nyina Sir Archibald we and see. Inti when Arsenal sikeni say Henry Beji club no the club no call from Woolwich to Highbury no so basic stadium no and all the man Archibald and Archibald see ya between 1913 to 2006 93 years you see it now say your season now it will be the 20th year Arsenal every Highbury eba say omo current stadium inti the picture and I said the jersey you are going to wear. If you're an Arsenal fan, first of all, Arsenal are taking you back to where they belong. I don't afraid the gun is because I want to tour any idea England for the corner no one move free too. Yes, almost so catch us says our season way and the last season on the free hybrid. Into two things. First of all, Arsenal are taking you back to those hybrid days and they are taking you back to when Arsenal were created.
A big issue to be beba. Enti wo dia na ye say obe join you Facebook, Lawson TV on Facebook. O like page no be share. Na team bia supporting the transfer bia person hu bia no. Ye timi e de amount. Ken ma men sha say fem free story ba kwa ye. Eye Benjamin Sesko insensem no. Eye no kre up to date. Manchester United for a slow neoma. Between Manchester and Newcastle. Team a wetimi the bid akoma Leipzig Newcastle bobuko no Manchester United bobuko no emfa bid enkoye Manchester any pro transfer akasa Manchester any Benjamin Sesko akasa omo nyina no omo twen say Manchester United the official bid ebeko Manchester communicate ache Leipzig for ne say omo nya abotre kakra mfa omo Manchester United na afi na Manchester for omo gada eye omo first official bid no ma prepare bid no e dia bre Leipzig company for no ma hwe nkrata mu enti Leipzig for enya abotre emfama Manchester United so communication a free Manchester United e call Leipzig kon ye say munya abotre kakraman na afi ne ye boaboa ye nkrata no eni documents ano eni proposal na ye dia bre na matimi atwem so Manchester amfa bid enkoy. The only club between Manchester and Newcastle, the official bid akoma Leipzig no, Newcastle. And umpokra no Leipzig for say omunso. Newcastle for bid no the coin na 75 million euros. Ana add-ons near 5 na kwa 80 million euros. Leipzig for says kanusa. No mo beji any offer umpokra na. Beji 80 million euros say face amount. Na 5 million no aye add-ons na kwa 85 million euros. Ana mo kwa je. And no, ana Newcastle for no ehun second. Benjamin Sesko no or a bad boy. Or per se oslu omo Newcastle for no down. No match Manchester for bid no.
Na United kwadape.
United for the oma catch Leipzig for so munya abotre kakra mo ma fe no mo de eboabo mo ne oma no de aba.
Okay.
And Newcastle for no ama Benjamin Sesko ni pro transfer 24 hours. So mo fa decision in Brabonte.
Kopem ochna.
Yes. Because when we say Oma catch Newcastle for so munya abotre. And Newcastle for nenya hint say Benjamin Sesko ne pese munya abotre na omo twen delay omo kakra twen Manchester for the no mo de beko no. Because they say Manchester for ni ready to bid the same amount as Newcastle for the koye. And Newcastle for na catch pro transfer for no. And Benjamin Sesko say omo 24 hours. Omo obi anti ase say ope Manchester onka so ope Manchester. So pe Newcastle no onka no njai se munya abotre mo ntwen kakra munya abotre no mo nya nkura sa emreko enti mama Newcastle ama Benjamin Sesko 24 hours so on funny decision embra okay. Manchester for so pa acho e wo Leipzig say yesre ma munya abotre kakra ma enti ye twen de ba akosie Leipzig kona no omo so atonkra koma Chelsea for say mabasem ope Xavi Simons emna ne so ko se ye beton Xavi Simons amamwa yesusu ye behia replacement enti Chelsea for mon ka mo ho na mon fa musika mbra because yesusu any Liverpool for kasa ye kwa kofa Harvey Elliott abaye Xavi Simons replacement and to say omo lives the phone bet menya Harvey Elliott every Liverpool no ababa be Javi Simons a replacement I just say Chelsea for aba be tuo musika for Javi Simons no matter says kan mu bi e de akoma Liverpool akwa Harvey Elliott and to Chelsea for mo nka mo ho na mo njai go slow na mo yen because Liverpool for so my pressure
na ma Chelsea twentwen Simons de no so
on pese bo ne ba form kakra
okay
enti omo so ato Chelsea for nkra se omo pe omo ni Liverpool akoka Harvey Elliott nkomo Liverpool twen agiska ana omo so twen age
omo de Chelsea sika no ene ekofa Harvey Elliott
ababe ye replacement
enti omo so nyanko ya Harvey Elliott nkomo
nso akwa ye problem o na unse so humi di okọ we free obe free space bo boku nim na Daniel Levy a communicate a kire papa friend say Thomas Frank say obema no a good replacement na unse already Rodrigo dia wa communicate a kire Real Madrid for so obetena Brazil Real Madrid for a player Rodrigo wa communicate a kire Real Madrid for say obetena na Daniel Levy a promise Thomas Frank say Enfa hu se Rodrigo se obetena Real de boboku ni no. Ono abe lead sa negotiation lead deal no. Se son you mean e kwa e wo se omunya a player ni mu eduo oye proving player omo de ne ba spare supporters na ni beje. Enti ono Daniel Levy na nkasa e de isi ne na so akwa akohia Real Madrid Florentino Perez se ope eye Rodrigo ono ana obeye son you mean replacement a o ma promise Rodrigo mpokra £180,000 a week. 180,000 pounds a week. And Daniel Levy see on lead negotiation no, for Rodrigo no be son human replacement. Now un say Liverpool
on the best star boy.
Na just a star boy ni dia ba be yo no.
Wa be kudu se free.
Wa be kudu se free. Say Rodrigo dia baby o no o soro say kudu.
Yeah.
Un say Saturday na na ye ka say Hilal for ne the official bid akwa Liverpool for Darwin Nunez. Liverpool the one person turn Darwin Nunez because of Isaac. Say Isaac bebe ninti no. See my friend say Hilal the one bid they call 70 million euros they call you no. Un say AC Milan for so any Liverpool for din come for Darwin Nunez. AC Milan for so the one wajim. Na me nim vi me kra AC Milan. Mo amu niska so mo players ane boede. Enti AC Milan for so de Liverpool twetwem komo. Na keno nim say two teams no obi enu ha wetimi ne Darwin Nunez akasa. Agreed deal. Darwin Nunez deal no. Yes, say Liverpool na team tene ne omo kasa. Boy na nkasa obi an ni agree. AC ni agree. Hilal ni omo agree. By Hilal for na your margin say Liverpool for je omo bid ni etuma ansa na omo Darwin Nunez. Ene ni representatives akwa akuhia. AC Milan for so person ni Liverpool wie. Ansa na omo Darwin Nunez akuhia. By assistance now. AC Milan, Hilal, Obienu wetimi agree with Darwin Nunez. The only team on Darwin Nunez agree was Napoli. By Napoli so enti mini Liverpool for enwie. Na Isaac die no. Ena no pay Isaac edi 3 hours ewo Newcastle. Omo training ground so. Odi 3 hours. Me no ka say ni legal team ana ne representatives ewo England. Rightly as o communicate no. Ni legal team ababa bedru omu free Sweden ababa bedru ne representatives ababa bedru meeting ne bekoso se still na no Newcastle for ntiase ho ana transfer request ne bebom enti transfer request e ba ni nyina no e ka ho bi no ma ne legal team no ne lawyers no ababa piem ewo England enti ye twen de meeting ne ba kosi on se Liverpool for say omo ogidie say e kire so pass so a latest by 14th August die e wo so omo nsa e ka e ya brand e friend say e ye Isaac na Thomas Partey die ne say obi anim say Partey ene VAR die ne die eye okwa sign to 2027 wakoye ne medical team na VAR for coach Marcelino Garcia Tora and pushy for the deal. Marcelino ekache VAR mpanyifo say on say new season on bebo UEFA Champions League opese onya quality and experience players e won finfin ho already or Dani Parejo or Denis Suarez or Papi Gay enti osenya Partey eka ho a ono Marcelino Garcia Tora na ebeboa no na ken onim de asie section of VAR for supporters ye protest can't anka de bema me a arehosem ana ye nua Thomas Partey FM na section of VAR for supporters ne say enam 5 rape and sexual assault ye dia Thomas Partey no section of VAR for fans ne say omo ntiase enti protest na ekoso so say o ye very supporter na ompene Thomas Partey de no so a omama baby a o do protest ne beko fans mailbox no akoka wa adwen de akwa mpanyimfo no the reason why you say Thomas Partey join a very bobuku no enti anu bi na yade ato Facebook
the fans mailbox ne
fans mailbox enti
na omoko chocho nsemu no
say no what the reason why you say Partey join a VRO team no
but one dey catch say Sunday mo we mentiasie ade na ye charge obi a na ye wie ni say case na ade ana say
ye bua ne
fo e dey ntia
ahun say omu ni say e bad
charge no o charge no afa no oba be court
sure
okọ court a ye be kokodi asem no but asem no ye nya ndi ye kura no
untimi conclude
but obonso no mu ina
conclude sana akwa areho sempa eba
enti we ya Villarreal for na asase omoye other clubs no every single ground should be a party be ko Spain bia obehuru no
even Villarreal for na nkasa
na mo amode ne ba no kra no ma start we ya other clubs no ba bi obeko bia
obehuru no enti a serious protest na ekoso of Villarreal no ha adwen
but sadia ne de ense ya ha adwen wo we are CCC say asem sini nya charge wa na
na ye clear odin impokra se umpokra no se de ye de tools na nya sa na ti ase no kra na odin na se Benjamin
bad
bad nti Villarreal ko ken nti supporters ne say protest na ekoso ye nua Thomas Partey after say yes so akoye na medicals no na on say Real Madrid center back Rudiger ne contract be 2026 wedi 32 years na Madrid for pen a long term replacement na only player is say Real Madrid for asase edi nkomo Oscar na say opon yes
na say na person o replace Rudiger or Madrid
or a long term replacement for Antonio Rudiger Oscar na say opon
na say no
osi akan wo Granada on say Accra Norte obo Emmanuel City Football Academy wa Accra and odi kopie mu Spain Real Madrid for hu ne say Accra we or just 20 years but he 6'1" and the ball no be very combative to say Rudiger into mu ni say Oscar na say opon a long term replacement ama Juni Calafat any best of you agency twetwem komo enti they say the Oscar na say opon de eba no na PSG ni Juventus ni Colomwani de no ken PSG for say no ombeji loan ni kura tuma ebeye loan na obligation to buy no Juventus abi to 50 million euros eno na Juventus for say Colomwani de ne bo no wosoro enti anka loan fee no ombetua 10 to 50 million euros na obligation to buy no akwa 30 million euros Brentford abera Arsenal so mo Petrozad Brentford abera Arsenal say omo Petrozad na no Saturday anam de betu anim say Trossard ne Martinelli transfer committee wo Arsenal on person mo ton baako ama Teta de waka say Trossard nie Martinelli nie baako ntina ono coach ne pe Martinelli Brentford for abera say omo Petrozad Bayern for say Kim Min-jae teams na ba say omo pe no by ne salary ni teams ne ba na omoko oje 12 million euros a year teams ne say ni sika no e wo soro na Bayern for hu say Upamecano PSG for ne tata no omo center back Upamecano Bayern for ne say PSG for ne tata omo enti Bayern for decide say Upamecano omo be ma ne contract extension to 2030 Upamecano contract e 2026 Bayern for ne say omo be ma Upamecano contract to 2030 na Barcelona Hansi Flick a communicate ya tre Gerard Martin say obetna
and am I impressed by
yes Gerard Martin
or cross the ball better
easy okay omuni Inter
no be na no
coach na communicate ya tre Gerard Martin so obetna on say na Barcelona epe Alex Grimaldo every Leverkusen into maka chen say Gerard Martin ebetna na Ademola Lookman de no waka Inter for ne side Ademola Lookman under roof agency so say year ago Atlanta for ne promise ne say otenana team bia de 35 to 40 million euros ba on beje
the one I can agree
ye hu de o kan agree enti dia akwa akosie no na Manchester United for decide so beton Mason Mount yes Ruben Amorim and de na nsi so say abrante ne friend say Mason Mount no onimbo ne ankasa ebo na medi wie no kra no mahu say omre ne ko Ronald Araujo o say Barcelona fans no watete yebeton me ana ese ba se kire ho no eye Pau Kubasi ni Indigo Martinez no Ronald Araujo no afi wei a yɛsim no season wei afi na Barca fo be hu the best version of Ronaldo Araujo.
You say between Kubasi and Inigo Hado between.
Say the Kubasi ne Araujo Indigo Martinez na first pair.
Because just one no bit me two or more me no one no bit me in a frame.
Say the na say yakwa to say Indigo Martinez so form na no edi.
I say Inigo no dey on is a center back on there.
On is number 1. It just say oyire no na pa Kubasi bi. But say season we o kase Nyankopon animonyam. Inshallah. Or no Ronaldo Araujo. Aye, Ronaldo Araujo. You be the best version.
Okay. Edilson.
Can we not say na asam die? Kwame Degu no boy ni ntina we nya fem e kasa. Degu die.
Degu for me say na yi the born in Musa. Player na ya ade na Degu for na
South Korea league no. Omo ye 12 teams the worry or that for Degu for.
It was South Korea. Almost was South Korea.
I'm about 24 games, so we need 3.
Yes, I'm
about draw 5. Oh, yes, but I'm just giving out information. I'm about 24 games, when we need 3. About draw 5, and I'm kind in 16 losses. Lose. Bet 12 games. Oh, bet 12 games. No more winning game.
They go for.
Obiasha wo to. Na wonim, they go for na de tene say Degu community no omo governor dia. Nti omo ska. Mba chonti ase omo ska e no mato nsa de afresenka team ade o South Korea nke ye mfre omo. Omo na awe e wo omo lake. Nti
omo na Barca show omo 5 no.
Aye.
Team awawe wo Korea.
No bet 12 games. Winning game. Tese woto obiasha woto sa. But that's not the point. The point is that Barcelona for ehwe kwan ba faso abo mo ene throughout the 90 minutes ko for 9 ka ball 2 pe Barca penalty box no. No man be ehwe. Nti but I say a drew game be say a training game. And until na first half for side the entire team. I mean just nyema wo dey train me say Gerard Martin na waman abas center back but Alejandro Balde na waye invented kakra no aba be share midfield normal game and coach no on try sir and the coach no try nema bebre and ma sa Gerard Martin overlap from the center back wo ekoye sa cross no that boy onimrika tuo to say Alejandro Balde ontimi mbo sa left back na enkane na hodi aba mu boni bi onye sa na mom ni attributes a onim ye ne se na 90 mi ball into a cross here a ye pa but say oshia good winger pa when we obe no onye sa type of natural fullback no be kwa ba debi onye sa but the attribute onim ye pa say young crossable any day onim ye
I just send a ball about Lewandowski.
Well in terms of
Rafinha so run a couple of no
say you know Sebasa Asia team be dominate pa no a Gerard Martin can play, but difficult games there it might be serious there. You don't want to try him. But see one thing now throughout the games so far, about Vessel Kobe or Shomo 3-1, or Soul or Shomo 7-3, and then they was 5 into like 15 goals and was conceded 4
in 3 matches.
In 3 games, 15 and we conceded 4. But the 4 no crowd were conceded, you know, and then one conceded goal that is positive. Name one thing now you clearly observe about this Barcelona team. The second, say in terms of tight spaces, none of the Barcelona players in the name tight spaces control it to say Dani Olmo. Ken Dani Olmo ni die o mani pa 3-4 ejina ni nchanya. The way this guy takes the ball and get the ball into space for the player for first one Befano, it's beautiful. Anyway, they good yenye kasatin team bia, but yebere against Komoni ahwe de betimi akọ. Ken, let us be Ken. Ademola Lookman, ni situation no. O menyenhwe ne ye. Afa. Napoli, hwe kwa mo fa so treat Usman. Nesha kwanya Ademola Lookman Atlanta for no so treat you. But you see, at the end you can see from the player side that will not be fair to Atlanta. Last year, Ademola Lookman at the 14th our Ballon d'Or. Show 14th. Now was Rochen Saka, was Rochen Kopama, was Ro Echen Nico Williams. Last year, African best Ademola Lookman. Ademola only 32 or 27 years. Inti, a 27-year-old player, 14th on the Ballon d'Or, African best. Say Atlanta cassette, you have 50 million euros. Number 5. Wakabone. With this current market, this is the first question I want to ask. Because at the end, we need to look at from both sides. We are all giving in favor of him, and maybe we might not be right. Maybe say with this current market here, say who go take obi a ton 95 million euros. Now Dimola Lukman African best. When you're 14th on the Ballon d'Or list, no, because for 50 million, I mean, come on. I think it is a fair market, and it is a. Are they in Inter Milan? If in fact, say Inter Milan end him the role Adi Molabe play part and the importance of Adi Mola Lukman. Why is it that they are refusing to add only 5 million to their initial bid of 45 million? At the intra. And I want to ask questions before we come to the whole issue itself. Because Inter Milan end him the role of Adi Mola Lukman. What a 5 million, I can 45 million you want. Can you bonio? Now, and they should not drag you out to the extent they say, boy, no, at the transfer request to go. I am not too happy how this thing is dragging because last year, time a PAG for buy only 20 million buyer. Atlanta for some one, Atlanta for say no budget 45 million as at last year. Now so budget 45 million last year. This year we 50 million. Why you born here now? I understand the arguments like, oh, the Italian clubs are not treating Africans right. Yes, sound common as a kakra. But choke, African best, 14th on the Ballon d'Or. Ademola Lookman, who is not 30 years, he's just 27 years in this current market. Ken, your boss are Obiantobo. Inter Milan should pay. No more respect to Atlanta for no. Now Ramos Hoylon, Nkofue Krabutu ya say. And you're the same club.
Ramos Hoylon.
Now Ahmad Traore Krana na or your small boy. I think they pay almost 40 million euros. Now Obi Ademola o chipino. I'm telling you, on one way chipping one to distance. Come on, now Ahmad Diallo crowd those days, which almost 40 million. Ramos Hoylon over 60 million. Now we African best.
They can take 95
million euros. Oh, yeah, now you're African, but we're chipping who too much. Come on. What was it?
Or more master son of cry.
Yeah, need the high margin.
Could you say 60?
55. Okay, Euros,
60. And Ademola Lookman 45. 50.
African best too.
African best.
And now Musa word no fan review. I said
Biggie. Biggie Brian the others the Diabano and some no one we are one to be Kokutiobi. And
na minim adekonti akwaku kana asema
because and some hono mo nsoma to bi mu a nyame no kwani ne ha adwen
oh wona de enoke
idi ma to
na Holland de yakra na season na eto no wa she 9 goals
but so no Champions League she goals be brave
of course Champions League on na United top scorer
so
last season Europa on na I think second top scorer Europa in for Manchester United
for Europe. European competition
domestic trophies no
they say among qualify for Europe no bedding
and Holland can maybe and say domestic competitions no and then I the body qualify for Europe it is a one team anya fie ni ya e den wa qualify for Europe akwa kire de obetimi aye no
afi de obenya goals I want some create chances pa
kenam and no mean opportunity share Manchester United game ni bi and for whoever that feels say Manchester United team na year complete no onya abotre. Let's be honest. Manchester United born or more and yet that bad. But all the no the company so far per matches I'm a Premier League summer series in the yesterday's game and an Manchester United worst performance. Not necessarily because of mobile draw derby. But when you draw on the free man, the performance of the players on the day. Then your performance I'll be to me a young crunch at the film. Aside there no, I've said before say Manchester United Bobo no Ken. I had to say they were talk dada. Time will be a 4 to 4 you know. And then there was another 4 in the Manchester United team. You said the goalkeeping department, their problem was. and no I tell by and there Ebabeda goal posting for Manchester United. How Manchester United conceded the first goal. Goalkeeper ya ball. Now we save the ball no or ponte ball no the two honum. And konko to Everton player name no one sam man on me ball.
I don't know Manuel Gatti one kind of was.
And until I make us say
I don't know say ball.
Me ball and make us a problem for you who I was coming to talk about the midfield. So na me chance here free the or hoda no. And now for Ugarte the ken say obi ni Mugati and then run or her na. Menya shows obo Ugarte din papada. He was the worst player in the Manchester United team. And no I'm fin on him. Eri Bunamo. Quite almost fast hand down no mfimfin. Ball no ontimi nkita ball ni ye. The distribution was poor. Obi brand no general the man nso so ano akwa say ball no. Enti ni tokuro and na edam mfimfin honom. Clearly, Manchester United needs somebody. And it looks like say the problem for Manchester United Ken, your supporter limited expectations. At least team no is playing well. There are certain players are almost glimpses of good football. Ohe players ni bi won ma timi nyam kranhye wom. And we go now meet in Mount Share, you know. E go na akono. E go a Manchester United supporter. Obe bomb pie so obetimi ahu mesi Mount I get it back to the best of form. Coach then also try so boy Mbuemo as a force number 9. Men who Mbuemo ye in that position. Ken oh no, I'm not saying he's a bad player.
Mbuemo.
And no baby a coach in the boy, you know, as a force number 9, no. Men who Mbuemo ye was our position, no. Mostly no person track it back. No babenya boss ni bin so ye de ebo. But all in all, I think say it was a good exercise for Manchester United. Ken Barcelona is having a very good exercise in Asia. Yes. Barca supporters need be real problems because they been feel say I was saying Barcelona high profile games. Games are not the games are so. But in preseason, kakra me minimum of football. And they say when you have a lot of players coming in, and only a number 1 and a number 2, who need the core of your team. And also with team now performing ye in the past season. Obe person obenya high profile games. Now they are accessing team very well. No I should ball our team neighbor. Say because season now baba be remno. Ube share team to omo strong, team to omo hard, team to omo stubborn. Omo ni be team ya how. It will be here high profile games. Now they are accessing team very well. Now you coach our who they obey. But the Barcelona team we are talking about, a Barcelona team wa. Players bebre amabo boku nim. That is number 1. Number 2, players don't want about Barcelona bobo kunim so omo ma meye status, omo baba be backups. Enti Barca woni team wo hono mo dada. So it is just like say ope bibi dey hit up no dey akwa ko season nimu. Ope games bi keke. Na the new ones are omo bat team nimu no. And the academy players no. Wa mo opportunity no mo so abokaka. Na wiase ni nipa so hu do mo nso betimi aye for bobo ku no. Aside eno, the previous season Barcelona performed poor. The performance was good. Barcelona won the Spanish La Liga. It's a coach in the team that are on a team that is performing. It will have few exercises just to warm the players up into the new season. And for me, I believe that the kind of exercise that Barcelona and Asia no are good for the team. Gerard Martin, so a Barcelona player. To say Gerard Martin, near more when you set in Barcelona, looking at certain players, I am a beer cologne, and you be no one about a person or one corner. Ken, I was always very careful. Now we improve your performance as a player. Last season, time na Barcelona be here Gerard Martin pa was time Alejandro Balde prior. But about the prior, me no me no be there dance here. Said the left back, I no be here so be feeling into the shoes. No about to the standards and performance of Balde na Barcelona nyabi. Not even 50% of the performance na Balde dema and Gerard Martin dema. There were games he was good, especially Baba be season no. But where Barcelona needed him most, he always fought to deceive. Against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, mistakes are leading to goals. Now if we play a friend is Gerard Martin. Barcelona, was against Inter Milan. Say you home, say you away against Inter our Champions League. Player a lot of mistakes. Emma Barcelona loses our game. No man to be on the final stage of the competition. Now you play a friend is Gerard Martin. And upon all these mistakes, for beyond mistakes, I had certain qualities to be our possessor. No more another opportunity. Can say we a player, you don't have to relent. I was making sure so working extra hard because I need the Biana Obenyani say a binu more performance in the training, but yes, you are monko. Some are even proven. obi te say Araujo we proving who Barcelona e injury no nyae any poor run of form and buy onum po na mpani 4% ko na wo improve point bia improve wo e Barcelona it's a very good opportunity na wanya omo keep faith in him ono should make sure so be repay that kind of trust and faith with good performance. Ken, there is one player at Arsenal a hammer at the player in this situation, but such is life and football. Player make no want some Gabriel Jesus. It has gotten to that point a highly possible say was a player in free Arsenal bobo. Moving from Manchester City, an experienced player, and our Premier League, Arsenal wanted to build something new with players or more experienced, any younger players, because some people competing for the title. And almost shots yes, or more fat players or more high experience, it will league him do maba. And a Gabriel Jesus, and to be play Arsenal bobo. The first season for Arsenal. Oba Bashar 11 goals will league him assisted 6 times. That is last 3 seasons. From there, player in a player why are consistent with games because injuries hano. Obe pra no I fit no aboba kumenu no assign so pra. And January enonya ACL in an FA Cup game against Manchester United. And there are other players omunso ababa be remua. I'm about with high expectations. Arsenal the Jokeres aba. Jokeres in one of my Kai Havertz on one. Even a Mika Marino Crampo yetimi pushing him on number 9. Man numbers the mass now and last season was clear none of the numbers any good. But for a player like Gabriel Jesus, at the point one of the best players in the English Premier League, a top-notch striker in the Manchester City team, today also finding a way out because we're falling down the pecking order. It is hurting, disheartening just because of injuries. Because Abranti and clearly can one chred that say we quality no nimbo but the plan abana sign to a player now sits now bobo unu bi bobo adan fu bi bobo ade ba ko obetimi ya dia tiny cheaper and it's all be bomb pa dia tiny chi no be injury free because there are certain injuries about players abrabo mu and then the performance any career and progress can
me that say biggie Edian no but biggie am ya demand this week na course ne be chance booking course ne be chance na
very important
for trip ya
league
no cross time ya so na
ka be